So what do we look for? I want to propose today that we look for two specific things when you're looking for leaders. When you've got your eyeballs out there and you're trying to be aware, be alert to those in your congregation, look for these two things. Look first for spiritual warmth and for relational warmth. Spiritual warmth and relational warmth. Now let's look at this just a moment and talk about it. Now, understanding spiritual warmth is very important. Now, this is different than spiritual maturity. Spiritual warmth and spiritual maturity are oftentimes mixed up by individuals who are looking at leadership. Spiritual warmth is a warming up where people understand they want to be around you to talk about the things of God. There's a vibrancy in the relationship with Jesus Christ, and people pick up on that. People know that. Spiritual maturity comes because of following Christ for an extended period of time, for longevity, having the sense to have walked the path, both over the mountaintops and through the valleys. Now, we can look at the Apostle Paul and see how he designated leaders, I guess you could say, in the early churches. He would go into an area, he would plant a church, and he typically left that church in less than 3 years. He didn't stay there for a long time. Many church planters today have the mindset that they're going to go and they're going to plant that church and not go anywhere else. I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to plant the church and I'm going to be the longtime pastor. But Paul never had that mentality. He was very catalytic in his planting. And when he would leave that new congregation, there wouldn't have been time for spiritual maturity. They wouldn't have had time to have people who were in the faith for many, many years. So he would leave those in charge as he left who were basically spiritually warm, those who would attract others to come and would come to know faith. They would know enough to be enthusiastic about the faith and to share what they knew. They sprung up in enthusiasm because of the truth that they already had. They didn't have to have all truth, but they had truth. Then you see Paul would go back to those churches sometimes many years later, and when he would go back, then he would appoint spiritual leaders. He would appoint elders, other leaders who would then lead with the administration and the leadership in the church. He didn't appoint those new spiritual individuals to those key leadership positions in the church. He knew they required spiritual maturity. So oftentimes in churches, we set the bar so high. We say we don't want someone who is leading a small group, leading a class, leading whatever it is. And we set the bar so high to say, well, they need to be spiritually mature. They need to have been a Christian for X number of years, et cetera, et cetera. And so what happens is when the bar is set so high, we end up frustrating ourselves to an extreme amount. When we look at it that way. We need spiritual warmth, and someone who has spiritual warmth can help be a guide, can help lead people down that path, which is very, very important. But they don't necessarily have a solid grasp on all the scriptural issues, all of the areas of debate, all the gray areas, all of that kind of thing. So we see that those early leaders had spiritual warmth, just not maybe spiritual depth yet at that point. So most of the time, it's the case if we insist on spiritual maturity and we're not looking for spiritual warmth, what ends up happening is we've raised the bar so high, it scares away those who would be willing to potentially lead, but they know they're not going to make that spiritual maturity bar.